are listening to episode 74 of the Bold Life Movement podcast, and this is Uncut with Kim and Katie B.
Oh man, what do I want to talk about? Well, there's this really cool video that I saw, and it's all of this energy guy talking about like the month of April and like what shit is going down, and like he's like this crazy energy guy. Oh shoot, I wonder if I can pull up his.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we can just get going on it right now if you want.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that.
Okay, so where is it here? Yeah, so Kylie Redhead, who's in my first episode ever, she is doing some coaching for me, and there's this guy, Lee Harrison. I'm just trying to find it right now. Lee Harrison, and she sent me a video because I sent her like an email because I'm in between. I have one session a month with her, and so I'm in between, and I just like, to be honest, like I'm fine. Like I have lots of moments where I'm like, this is great, life is so good, and then there's also moments where I'm like, what in the F is like going on? Like just very like feels like and this may be too heavy for like just getting off the bat on our podcast, but it feels like
it's real life, baby. Uncut.
It's real life. Like, well, and I feel like maybe we can talk more on this too. Like I feel like I've been and am being stripped of everything that is not working, and being forced to look at what's working, what's not working. And I've heard this in a couple places too. Energetically right now, the things that are really working are feeling amazing, and the things that aren't are feeling awful.
Like a slog.
And just like uncomfortable. And like there's so many people I've been talking to, and they're like, I'm anxious, like I can't sleep, I'm feeling like, why am I anxious, why am I feeling all these feelings? And it's just very like intense. And so for me, I can only speak to my experience, but like for me, lately I felt like a stripping of everything, and I'm having to look at, I'm really getting serious about like, okay, like it's time to clean up the show here, and like what's working, what's not, what can I do to like make what is working like
even
put
better,
my energy into that like exponentially, like and really just focus on those things. I have like hair on my face that I have like something stuck on my face. Anyway, long story long, Kylie sent me this video, and it's from this guy, Lee Harris Energy. So if you check him out, he is like, I really like this guy. I've never had heard of him before. And he you can sign up for weekly or monthly energy updates for that month. And there's one for the month of April. And basically he's saying,
lay it on us.
So basically he's saying that, April is a month of, it's about purpose and it's about grief. And so he's like, he said basically it's like, it is kind of like a stripping of the same kind of thing that I was just talking about, and also like purpose as in like you maybe realizing that what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing, and sometimes there's a lot of grief that comes with like the letting go, and so it's like a very kind of intense time of like, who am I, what am I doing, what is my purpose, and then anytime there is like a stripping like that, there is, or a loss, there can be a grief. Totally. Right.
I feel like so much of what I've been doing day to day right now in my business, and on like a life level as well, is just getting clarity. Like obviously there's ebbs and flows in your entrepreneurial journey and throughout your life. And right now I'm in one of those phases where I'm like cutting the shit that I've been pushing for too long, or that I don't want to do, or that doesn't light me up, and really getting clear on the things that do light me up and I'm good at. I'm reading Danielle Laporte's Firestarter Sessions right now. Have you read it?
I haven't read it, but it's been sitting on my bookshelf for maybe like 7 years.
Yeah, well,
or some long extended period of time. Might be a good time to pick it up.
Yeah, and
anyways,
one of the quotes that I marked in the book was talking about how your strengths are things that make you feel strong. They're not necessarily things that you're innately good at. They're things that make you feel strong and great when you do them. Totally. And your weaknesses are things that make you feel weak. And I'm like,
your energy is huge tell.
Yeah. And I'm like, I've been doing a lot of things that make me feel weak. What are
Yeah.
the things that make me feel
Yeah.
strong? So,
Yeah.
very relevant, very timely for me at least. And I'm assuming likely for some of my listeners as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I think that like they you talk about people talk about the collective consciousness and without getting too woo woo. I mean, I think there
No,
really
let's
is
get
something
woo.
to it, right? Let's get the woo. There is something to the collective consciousness, and we are all, I think, feeling, these feelings right now. There was something I listened to last night. What did he say? It was, oh, yeah, he said this guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was saying that there's they asked a certain number of like really like high profile professionals, like entrepreneurs, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you had, I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but something along the lines of if you had um, you had to divide 100% of your energy into what you're strongest at, what kind of needs improving and what you're weakest at, how would you divide that percentage wise? And most people said but like people who were just, everyday people were like, oh, I would put like 20 here, 20 here, and you know what I mean? Like, but the top performing people said either 100% into what they're good at, or they would put 90% into what they're good at and 10% into or sorry, and 5% into the other two or whatever. Um,
Huh.
so essentially it's like you just focus on what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Focus on
Outsource the
what you're
rest.
strong. Yeah.
Yeah. Be
But and
resourceful.
that being said too, like just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't mean you shouldn't do it though. It's like that then you can get caught into like what I found myself is you get into these circles of like, well, this isn't feeling good, so does this mean I should stop because it doesn't feel good? But there's
I think there's a
resistance.
difference.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a difference. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
There's
that you can, we'll use writing as an example because I'm still working on my book.
Mhm,
There is a
mhm.
huge resistance to writing. A lot of writers talk about it. Many, many books have been written on the subject. But if you are someone who feels called to write after you've written, you feel great. I think
Mhm,
that if you don't feel
mhm.
called to write after you've written, even if it was shit or great work, it doesn't matter. After you've
Yeah.
written, you're never going to like feel great.
Yeah, you're
You
gonna
know,
feel good that you sat there and did that and yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
even if so I feel like if it's something that is a strength of yours, even though you
Mm,
had to push through resistance to get to it, you feel great afterwards. Kind of like a good workout,
I
or
like that. Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but there are things
Yeah.
that I have resistance to and then I sit down and I do it and I'm like, ugh, afterwards. It was not something that I ever want to do again. It's just
Yeah,
different.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, there's definitely some things that like I've been looking at in my work life and just I feel like I feel like there's a lot of power right now in the universe. And so you have to be really careful about where you're putting your time and like
Yes.
where you're putting. That being said, it's not going to happen overnight either. Like there are some things I'm doing right now that I'm like, okay, I can see that this is coming to a close soon because I can't do this anymore because there are other doors that are starting to open. So
Yeah.
it's like I have to start to shift, but you can't just cut it off. Like you can't, I mean, you can, but you might make it very hard on yourself. So it's easy to think in like absolutes when people are talking like this, oh, then if I'm not feeling good about this, I'm going to cut this out of my life. And it's like, no, like be kind to yourself because that's going to be a shitstorm. Like if something
Yeah.
doesn't feel good, phase it out. Start to slowly filter more of your time and energy into the things that do feel good, get them to the point where they're strong enough that you can kind of stand on them, and then, make the full shift over when it feels right.
I think that also something to pay attention to in these times of like transition and,
Yeah.
things are starting to marinate is what are the things that people are asking you for? And of those things, what excites you? Like
I like that.
I spent so much of today reading books that made me feel inspired, which then made me feel like I was at the beginning of my business again, where I'm like, oh, that course that I was so excited about 2 years ago, I'm going to focus on that and I'm going to outline that. And this
Yeah.
other thing that my art journaling workshops here, I've had multiple people ask me recently, when are you hosting another one? We all want to come. We all want to go.
Oh, cool. I didn't
And
know that.
I've had people ask me, "Hey, is there an online version of your art journaling workshop?" So I spent like the
Yay.
better part of today scoping out an art journaling course and doing research on other existing ones and like looking into how to create a studio here in my apartment to kind of
What?
record it. Yeah, and I'm like,
Cool.
this is a thing that
Exciting.
makes me happy. People are
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
me
yeah.
for it, and even if I didn't
Yeah.
make $1 million doing it, I would enjoy the process.
Yes. Oh, yes. That is so. I love that. Like, as you know, I'm starting to do some interior design, or
Mhm.
I guess you could call it interior decorating. And it, someone, a friend of mine she's a partner in like a store in Vancouver, and they have an
Yeah.
online store. It's called Lofty Living. Well,
Cool.
I don't know what the website is now, but Lofty Living, and they have really great decor and stuff like this. And my friend just was kind of like, "Oh yeah, we might be looking for like an e-designer to do the online stuff." And I was like, "Yeah." And I put together some boards, some design boards. I just picked some crappy rooms off of the internet and
Yeah.
said, "This is how I would change them. This is what I would add." And I'm not getting paid for that. But I was stoked to do it and to give it to her. I mean, it and more so excited about the possibility of like what it will bring and
Yeah.
feeling like this is the right path. Even that it gives you a level of like peace, like
Yeah.
maybe for you like setting up your art course and like, doing the research groundwork is not it's not like really something you super super enjoy, but just the idea of bringing something and that feeling behind
Yeah.
it, that's how you know it's the right thing.
And another thing that I noticed while I was going through this process today was that, like, even if this art journaling course doesn't pay the bills, there are so many things that come out of it which are
Mhm.
transferable and accomplish things that I want to accomplish. Like, I've been wanting to organize my art stuff here at home for a long time, haven't had a need. I've been
Mhm.
wanting to create an at home studio for a long time, haven't done it. So those two things would be checked off the list. And then
Yeah.
the skills of like setting up a studio at home and getting even more comfortable recording consistent course like videos, those I can apply to my business in so many different ways. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it just feels very fulfilling and
Yeah. Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That is the key. I
Yeah.
think to have fun. I was thinking about that as I was. This sounds weird. I
Follow
was
the fun.
stepping into the shower last night, and I was like, I need to think more about yeah. I
I'm
need
like
to think
picture
more
you
about like.
stepping in like creates quite a visual.
I mean, it really doesn't look that fancy. So I know my shower here in Bali is like, okay, this is a total side tangent, but it's like, those ones that's on like a hose and
Yeah.
you
Oh
do
yeah.
like this, and it has one of those things you clip into the wall, like when you're done with it.
Yeah.
Well, the clip thing is like, it's just I don't know how to
Is it
describe it, but
facing the
like
wrong direction?
when I put it in, it basically just shoots at the wall across. So if
Yeah.
I want to wash my body, I have to put the like fandangle the hose into the lower part where the tap is, kneel down and like do like my body like this. Like I've been showering like kneeling down for the last like 2.5 months now.
That's how I was in
Um,
Vietnam. I literally would have to
really?
crouch. Yeah, I don't remember why. I think because there's like no curtain and the
Uh,
angle and my height. There was a lot of different
yeah,
ingredients that all added up
yeah.
to me having to crouch to shower.
It's amazing.
Southeast Asia is
Yeah.
a funny
the,
place.
the the dynamics of like showering and like angles and like
Oh my
everything.
God.
Serious business. And there's nothing like a shower that just works out perfectly where you're like, oh yes,
Yeah.
like this is good. Anyways,
You're
moving
stepping into the
on.
shower last night.
I was stepping in
Continue.
the shower last night, and I was like, what are you doing, woman? What are you doing in your life that's actually fun? Like what out of what you're doing right now is fun? And these are the moments that I've been having, which is why like every day I cry, like because which sounds sad, but it's good. It's good. It makes me
Got to get
stronger.
that
Don't worry.
energy out.
I'm good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm
I'm good.
like,
I'm healthy.
oh,
Don't call
I'm
anyone.
good. Don't worry. I'm all good. It's good. It's always feels
I'm
good to
so good.
cry. Don't worry about my guy. Um, but I do have moments like that
Oh wait,
where
can
I'm
I can I go on a tangent real quick?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just related to crying. I had my mastermind call this week, and full disclosure to
Okay.
anyone who's listening and doesn't know this, sometimes women have periods in the month when they are a little hormonal. For me,
Yeah.
that was this last week.
What?
Yeah. Oh, what? And I got on the call, I think I even told you this offline, and had like a total meltdown. And one of my mastermind ladies, one of my homies, she told
Yeah.
us a story about how there was a time when she was putting together a puzzle of like kittens or puppies. Did I tell you this
No.
story? Oh,
No.
she was like, I was just putting together this puzzle,
Yeah.
sobbing, just sobbing. She's like, nothing was wrong, but I was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
crying so
Yeah.
hard, just like putting
Yeah.
kittens together. I was
Yeah.
like,
That's so, yeah.
it's so
I
accurate.
get it. I
Yeah,
get it,
I
lady.
totally
Like
get it.
I went into the shelter where I was taking Luna, my little kitten, to get her vaccination,
Yeah.
and it was the shelter. I was thinking, should I bring her here or not? And I was just in the shelter, and she was sitting there in her little carrier, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't. I was like, this is so hard. And then I was like, no one was in the room yet. And I was like, pull yourself together, Katie. Why are you even crying? The vet is going to come in at any minute and she's going to be like, what's wrong with this woman? Like, there really is nothing in
She's a
this room that's a
woman.
problem. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's going on. So
Yeah.
you're crying
And
every
I
day,
think
but you're totally fine
I'm totally fine.
because you're
But,
asking
well,
yourself
I
these
mean, it's
questions.
that stripping, right? It's
Yeah.
that releasing. There's a lot of energy. I think it's happening
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And it's so funny. We walk around the world looking like, the face we put forward is like everything's fine or like neutral or like I don't want to have eye contact with you because
You'll
but
open me up.
yeah, yeah, but the truth is like, we're all humans and like this is a part of it. And I think right now in particular is a very intense time for a lot of people, especially if you're a sensitive person. It's like a bit kind of, yeah, hi.
Hey, sup?
Yeah.
It's me.
It's a tough time. But it's a good time because it's like it's the power. There's a new cycle, and I think we're at a point where it's like things are really revving up, and it's like it's basically the universe or whatever you want to call it, is like get rid of your shit so we can get this fucking rocket off the ground, and
Yeah.
like that. It's kind of like a last minute like cleaning of house, if you will, before you take off. I really feel so.
One of my girlfriends, we went out for drinks last night for my birthday, and
Yeah.
we're just this group of girls is hilarious because they love to cheers. Literally
Oh.
every 20 seconds is a new cheers.
Oh no.
And,
Yeah.
and one of them was cheersing to something related to my birthday, and she said, I feel like really big things are coming for you. And she's extremely intuitive, like a little magic-y. And she was like, right now, there's just this like calm before the tornado comes in. She's from Kansas. And she's like, and the tornado is just starting to form. And that like, but in a good
Yeah.
way, you know what I mean? Like it's about to
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
rip
Yeah.
things up and
Yeah.
pick everything up in its path that take it on its way, you know?
Yeah. 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 I really
I'm
feel it.
ready. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was my cousin Tara, who's amazing. She was saying that the Mayan calendar said there's like a 12-year cycle and something to do with the year 2012, and I could be totally wrong, but that was when it ended.
The 12,
And it
12,
was
12
the big
thing.
Yeah, and it was that's right. And it was the beginning of something new and the first, so if you look back 2013, 14, 15 were kind of like 2013 was the beginning of a lot of stuff that wasn't quite so good for people. Like you knew it wasn't good for you, but you did it anyway. And then 2014 was like that whole situation was going on. 2015 was you learned the hard lessons you needed to learn from these things that you didn't feel in alignment with in the first place, and it was the shit is gonna hit the fan or really hit the fan. 2016 was like a continuation of that, like shit is hitting the fan. This is like what is happening. 2017 was like, whew, okay, a break. And 2018 is like, now let's rev up for the good stuff. Let's rev up for the things that you learned, and let's like turn it out. And
Yeah.
that's kind of
Turn
yeah.
down
Turn
for
it up,
what?
turn it out, get lit. I don't know. I'm just trying to be cool.
Oh, Canadians are so cute.
Thug life. Sometimes I have a younger brother. He's 19, and sometimes I just throw out, like words to be like, I'm cool too. Like we
Oh,
can be
I
friends.
I dated someone much, much younger than me, and I
Did you?
acquired a lot of vocabulary.
Okay, how much younger are we talking about? Or
You
don't you
know
want to?
this.
I do. Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Of course. Of course. Sorry. Okay, it's so weird. My tap just turns itself on by itself sometimes. Yeah, it's just right now it was like just started dripping on water. I don't think it's a ghost. I think it's just Bali plumbing. Because
Ooh.
also the bowl, like the sink, it doesn't drain. It stopped draining. So there's
Are you
something going on.
sure it's not energy?
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's the
Can we just
plumbing.
make it a sign already? Come on.
Okay,
So, is
it's
there anything else that Lee Harrison, is that his name?
Lee Harris.
Lee
Yeah,
Harris.
LeeHarrisEnergy.com if you guys want to check it out. No, not that I can remember. I would say sign up for his monthly energy updates and you can view the video yourself. It's energy update for April. Also on his site, really interesting for me. What is it under events, I think? He has this course about narcissism, healing from empaths versus narcissists, a power dynamic and how to recover from it, an online course. And
So,
I'm
if
not,
you're an empath, how to heal from your interaction with a
from,
narcissist?
yeah. And yeah, it just popped up for me and without, divulging too many details, I think that I was in contact with a very giant narcissist. And I think that when you
Hmm.
meet people online, you see people online, you get a feel for them, and some people right away you're like, oh my God, like, do you think I'm an idiot? Like, stop
Hmm.
trying to sell me this corny shit. Like, I know you're just trying to make a buck, and
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
all about like sign up for this webinar, and after this course do this, and after that, and it's just like, ugh, I'm done, like tapped out. But
Yeah.
this guy, when I watch his video, I was like, this guy is legit. Like
He's
he's
very
coming from
genuine.
really good intentions. He's genuine. The stuff he's creating is like super high quality. And I
Hmm.
just stumbled upon him now, so I'm not like, affiliated or anything with him at all. But like you just know when someone is just doing their work
Yeah.
and they just have something good to put out there and
Yeah.
it's worth it. And it's not crazy price either. I think it's like $200 for this course, which I'm sure is like very highly produced. And
Yeah.
anyway,
I think that
yeah.
that's a really good distinguishment. Some
Uh, discernment.
Yeah.
I,
A really good thing to distinguish
big
when
word.
you are, choosing who to listen to, choosing who to follow, whose courses to buy, etc. is that A, does it feel good for you? Like do they seem like someone you'd want to be friends with?
Genuine.
Yeah, do they
Yeah.
seem genuine? But also that even if someone is selling you something, that doesn't make them bad. Because
No, definitely not.
yeah, like, because you were mentioning the webinar to the upsell to the this to the that. And,
Yeah.
there are people who will employ that strategy where they're doing it because that's how a sales funnel works. And then there are people who will employ
Totally.
that strategy because they're never not selling.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. And you can tell the difference. Like you can
Hmm.
tell when someone is just doing their work and it's
Hmm.
good work and you're like, I want that and I can feel like behind it they're genuine, their intention is pure. And you can also tell people who are on the internet train and they're trying to make a buck and they're like,
Yeah.
what am I good at? I got to make a course at this because ooh, if I can make a course for $200 and sell it to like 1,000 people, like my life
Math.
just got made.
Yeah.
Math. Hate math. No, I love math. I'm trying to change that. Oh, I want to talk about money later. Um,
Mm.
anyways,
Part of
I
me
don't
thought
think
that might be
selling
what we talk about today.
really.
Yeah.
We're in. Selling isn't bad, but I think you can tell, and it's good to be mindful if you are a person who's selling something online. Make your shit so good that when you talk about it, you don't question your own self. Because if you
Yes.
do, people can feel that. It doesn't matter if you can't see them or whatever through the screen, they know. So if you're worried about selling, the number one best thing you can do is make your shit
Better.
so amazing that you're like, I can't fucking wait for you to look at this stuff. It's like
Yeah.
so good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
And because people who are stumbling upon you want your stuff.
yeah. Yes.
So be
Yes. Yeah.
excited so that they're just as excited that they're getting their credit
Yeah.
card out. Because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly what I need.
It's a benefit to them if
Yeah.
you create something that you And that's why, and on that note too, I've paused my podcast for a month because I was not in the place where I could be providing something of like real benefit. I'm still not. I'm still needing to go back to the drawing board. And there's no way in hell I'm just going to put random shit out there on the internet because it's something that I should do.
No.
It's like, no, I want to make sure that what I'm putting out there is as high quality as I can make it. And if I don't feel like it's good, I'm not going to put anything out there. Like, screw it. But yeah, people know if you're coming from a pure, genuine place, you have so much behind you that it's going to be way easier. And it's just good to start from that.
Yeah, I agreed. What did you want to say about money, money, money?
Okay. I've discovered an app I want to share.
Please.
I've talked about it before, but I've just recently really started using it. So Money and Me, like, there's a lot behind it. Like, growing up, family went bankrupt at a young age. Like, there's always been a mentality like there's just enough to get by. I haven't wanted to look at my money stuff because it's been, scary and I don't understand it. Whenever I would think to look at it, I'm like, oh, like, that doesn't look like how I want it to look. So I'm just not going to look at it, even though I know in my mind that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
it's not the way out.
Not the way out. So I started using this budgeting software called YNAB. YNAB. Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
You Need a Budget is what it's called.
I'm excited to hear you talk about it. I tried using it and felt overwhelmed by it. So
yeah. It's really confusing. You have to like slowly dive into it, but what's really awesome is they have like super great support team that you can pretty much like I emailed them when I was going through the breakup and I was like, my boyfriend was helping me out with this, but he's not here because we broke up and I'm confused and I want to keep going with it. And the woman was like, oh, don't worry about it. And she sent me like a gift that was like, we got your back, sister. It was like Amy Poehler or whatever. Yes. She sends me this gift and she was like, message us anytime. She's like, doesn't even have to be about YNAB or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just they're just good people there. And they have workshops. If you go on their site, there's courses about YNAB that you can take where they're actually live and they happen all day, like long, like multiple times a day, every day. And so these people's job is to just put on mini webinars, like 15-minute webinars every day, and teaching you and asking your questions live and teaching about like how to set it up in the first place, how to get out of credit card debt, how to use a credit card properly, what happens if your budget is tight, like all these different classes. So even if you don't buy the platform, just the courses themselves, I mean, they're using the platform and all the courses are super worth it. Yeah. And I had this moment last night where I started to shift things for myself financially. I started to put savings away. I started to put 10% of my income. I started to put 20% away for taxes, all the stuff. And it was hard to do, to take my paycheck, which already I feel is not quite big enough, and take 20% of that and then put it away and then put 10% away like for my retirement.
Yeah.
But when I looked at
20% sounds so low for taxes. Is that all Canadians pay?
25. I'm just putting... Yeah, I think, 25. I don't know what it is. I think my accountant said 20 to 25 I should be putting away. So right now I'm doing 20 because 25 was a bit, overwhelming. But you do what you can. That's another, thing. Just do what you can. Mm-hmm. And last night I looked at my accounts for the first time and like there was no big numbers in there. I'm going to be totally honest. But there were some numbers that were there that weren't there before. And it was the first time where I looked at my accounts and I was like, the train is leaving the station. Mm-hmm. I was like, we're getting somewhere. We're doing
this.
We're doing this. Like, we're just gonna keep going. And it was because like of this software, and it was because of doing automatic scheduling of sending money to certain places without having to think about doing it. And so if
how do you use You Need a Budget and Billy?
Yes.
How do they communicate?
So,
do they communicate?
They don't really communicate. You Need a Budget is just like basically just giving you an idea and a picture of where your money is going. So it takes away a lot of the stress too, because you're like, oh, like how much can I afford for this and how much am I going over? Am I not? And like it just gives you peace of mind because you can see like this is where all of my money is going this month, and I have like a section that's stuff I didn't budget for and I put $100 there. So just in case, because stuff always comes up. Or you can like save for stuff like say you're gonna need a new computer for your business in 2-3 years. okay, I'm going to save $50 a month so that when that time comes, I can afford a new computer and I don't need to sweat it. Same thing with the phone. Um, anyway,
I like
but
that.
Billy and YNAB are separate. Billy is great for business accounting, and that's collecting invoices and tracking receipts and all of that kind of stuff. So I use them separately. I use them
Yeah.
both separately.
But do you need a budget at all for the business, or is it all
Yes.
personal?
So I have a separate budget. So how I do it is, and shout out to my ex, he taught me this, which is one of the things I'm very grateful for that he taught me, is I have, and this is just the way I do it. It doesn't need to be done this way, but like I
Yeah.
have my business bank account. I have two different banks I use. I have my
Mm-hmm.
business bank and my personal bank, and whenever I get a paycheck, the money goes right into my business bank account, and I have in my budget at YNAB, I can see how much I need for myself. So I pay myself that salary.
Got it.
So that gets transferred to my other bank, and then that money does whatever it needs to do in my personal life, whether it's putting savings away for, I have an emergency fund, I have a dream fund, I have my 10% that
Mm-hmm.
money goes there, and then that's my spending money. And then whatever the business needs, that money stays in the bank where I have all my business coming out of
Expenses.
my
Yeah.
business credit card and whatever. Yeah, so that's how I do it.
I love it. And I'll definitely have those linked up in the show notes. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just everyone has a different way of doing it, but it's such a scary thing and it's such a tough thing. I find like money, it's such like a loaded subject, and I'm just beginning on the journey right now, but I can say like it has been tough to sort it all out. It's good to ask
Mm-hmm.
for help. It's even just like a money coach for like one session to set yourself up
Yeah.
on all this stuff or whatever, but once you get even a little bit more clear, like I'm not there yet. I still have a lot I
But you're
have to
putting
do, and
energy towards it, which is what people spend so long not doing.
yeah, because it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Money is, like I said, loaded.
Totally.
And the
We're
longer you put it off, the bigger it gets. The bigger the monster gets.
facts.
Facts. Life fact.
Hard facts.
Hard facts.
No, I
Cold
thought
hard
that
facts.
we might talk about this today because I was reading You Are a Badass at Making Money again. I'm
It's a
rereading
good
it.
book.
And I know that you are also listening to it. So
Yeah.
something in me was like, we're going to talk about money.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
important to
Because
both of us right now. I think that there's definitely some overlap. Sup, girl? Hey, Luna. Luna just made a cameo if you're watching this or if you're not watching this on
so
YouTube.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
If you want
think
to see a kitten, watch Kim Bold Life podcast on Bold Life Movement on YouTube.
boldlifemovement.com/YouTube. Subscribe, tell all your friends to subscribe.
See a kitten. Done.
But yes, money can be super loaded, and I think that people underestimate the momentum that can start to build if you just give energy to it. And it's funny, I kind of feel like you're either someone who has money stuff
Yeah.
or you're not. I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends who have always been like really great about funneling things to the right places, really great about
Yeah.
tracking. Their stuff, for lack of a better word, might just be that they're not making as much as they thought they would be. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother thing. But I think that the denial, the not looking at it at all, the not giving it any attention can really cause like a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Unneeded stress.
And you think that you're avoiding the stress by not looking at it, because when you do look at it, like totally, when I would look at which still sometimes this happens, but when I look at my accounts, I'd be like, I would then become, for the rest of the day, I'd be like, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm like frustrated, I'm
Yeah.
scared, I'm anxious, because you look at your accounts and you're like, oh, shit.
How
Like,
will I? Yeah.
how am I going
How?
to turn this around? And that's another thing, like, and I'm not affiliated with YNAB at all, but it's just super helped me out, is that they have this, one of their webinars is like about getting out of credit card debt, and they make it, they're so like, just set it up so that every month you're automatically putting this amount away, and just focus on one credit card at a time, and just focus on the credit card with, I think it was, they said, the smallest amount to pay off.
There's two
Focus,
approaches. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know the other approach, but focus on the one with the smallest amount to pay off. Pay that off, be done with it, move on to the next one. And like just whatever you can afford, even if it's like I have in my banking $50 to go to my credit card every month automatic, no matter
Yeah.
what, because then it will cover my minimum payment and I'm never going to default.
Totally. Yeah, you should
Yeah.
100% have at least the minimum payment automatically paid every month. The other
Yeah.
approach, which Ramit Sethi talks about, do I have his book sitting here?
Oh, like that guy. I'm gonna watch some of his stuff after this.
Yeah, I Will Teach You to Be Rich is his book, which I'll have a link to in the show notes. But the other approach that he talks about is paying down the one with the highest interest rate first. So one is kind of an
Yeah.
emotional reward. Oh, you feel good. You paid something off. That's why
Yeah.
going after
Yeah.
the one with the
Yeah.
lowest balance. And then the other is just like in the long run, which will yield you like the least amount of interest paid.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
paying the
Very
one down
true.
with the highest interest rate first. So
Yeah.
a lot of different approaches. You got to do what works for you. But wealth consciousness, reading books like You Are a Badass at Making Money, reading books like
Great
The
book.
Science of Getting Rich, I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
Yeah. It's just educate yourself.
Yeah.
Just educate, because anything can be scary when you don't know about it.
Yeah.
Like aliens, if they exist, like they're a little bit scary. We don't know about it. You know what I mean? But like it and that's way going out there, but like any topic can be scary. Like when you first step into a class in college or university or whatever, and you're there to learn something, but you don't know what the F, like maybe it's graphic design or computer science or whatever it may
Yeah.
be, you're a little bit worried because you don't know about it. But after you're like, oh yeah, old hat, like, and it takes away that edge.
Yeah.
That,
It's
that's
true.
otherwise there.
It's like I have two metaphors to draw there. Driving, so bad at it. You have to use so much brain power when you're first getting started. And then
Yes.
now
Yeah.
it's literally muscle memory. Like these things
Becomes automatic.
that people who are wealthy do, they become muscle memory to them. And they can become muscle memory to you too, to anyone
Yes.
listening to this.
You're just a person like anybody else. Like
Yeah.
and that's where we like get messed up sometimes. It's like all these people, Richard Branson, all these people who have lots of money or doing amazing things in the world, like they are made up of the same stuff, the same cells. We all come from the same place. It's so the power of the mind is amazing, and discipline, and just being disciplined about, like, it doesn't have to be like a bad thing or a scary thing to be disciplined. It doesn't have to be, but you do need a certain amount of discipline in your life to bring things in. Otherwise we're just wishy-washy, mushy messes that never really get anywhere. You need to have that yin and the yang. You need to have the hard and the soft, and when they work together in balance, that's when things really you can take off and really do well for yourself.
One of the examples that she talks about in the book is that so many people have this really heavy emotional relationship with money. They feel icky about it. They hate it, but they love it. There's all this stuff. But money's everywhere. It's universal. You can't avoid it. It's like a necessary part of life. And she likened it to what if you had that same emotional relationship with the sky? Like you thought it was gross, it made you a bad person, if it was all these things that people think about money. She's like, you wouldn't get anywhere, you couldn't leave your house. Don't let that become your life, this like paralyzing existence, because you're so disgusted by something, or have such a mixed relationship with because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There will always be a currency, whether it's, digital currency or actual, like, paper money. It will be there. And or oh God. Oh, never.
I know.
But yeah, like if you make friends with it and you turn it into something that can be a power for you, it can be powerful, then you invite more of it as well. And it's not like an overnight thing either. It's like baby steps, because when you hear like me talk about this and this, YNAB, and this is how I set up my bank account, so blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, chill. Like it's a one step thing at a time. It's like it's checking out the You Are a Badass at Making Money book on Amazon. If that's too much, it's clicking on your computer and going www.amazon.com or whatever it may be. Like you don't have to figure it out all today, next week, next month, whatever. But it's like, break it down into the tiniest, most digestible steps that you can. And if you don't know, go find someone who does and ask them to help you. So it can make you go so much faster and save you a lot of headache.
Well, another
Ugh.
thing that I really liked in today's reading with Jen Sincero, she talks about how if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I'm not good at making money. Like if that's your story, I'm not good at making money, or I wasn't born such and such in such and such city or whatever, I'll never be rich, blah blah blah. She's like, but you're sitting on your couch kind of whining about it, opening a beer and
Yeah.
watching reruns of Dawson's Creek,
Yeah.
you know.
Been there. I don't watch Dawson's Creek, but Dynasty on
Totally
Netflix
been
right
there.
now is, yeah, totally
Yeah,
been there.
so it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're getting sucked into these things that don't earn you money,
Mm,
and you're not actually
what are you
putting
doing?
energy or focus or time towards potentially money making activities, then
Yes.
you don't really have a place to talk.
Yes, and you're just reminding me of something that this is so I this is so triggering. I was thinking about last night. I was like thinking to myself because I was having a moment like this. I thought I'm gonna have a productive day, like I'm gonna, and then I just kind of crashed, and I spent my like afternoon walking and crying in a rice field, and I was like, then I came home and I watched like 2 episodes, like I just said, Dynasty on Netflix, and I and
Yeah.
I was sitting there and I was like, why am I why did I let my day kind of go this direction? And I was like, it's because I'm expecting my life to be far more than it is right now. I'm living way in the future, and there's such a
Mm.
disconnect with where I want to be that it makes me miserable right now. And then I was like, you can't look in the future because it's not there. And I have no idea. And like for listeners, like you have no idea what's in your future. So
Mm.
even to think too hard about it, it's pointless because there's so many. So I was like, so what can I do? And I was like, the only thing I can do right now is focus on what is in front of me, lay it
Mm.
all out in my mind. What is in front of me right now? And how can I make the best out of each of those things right now? And how can I scrap the things that aren't working? But how can I make the best out of my life in this moment, even if it doesn't look exactly like I want it to look? Where can I direct my energy to the things that feel the best? How can I, shift out the things that don't? And how can I
Yeah.
make what is on my plate in life right now the most tastiest that it can be, and then go from there. And
Well,
that
I want to
felt
offer
so
a,
good to
a
think that way.
counter to that because I think that there are
What?
different type. I know, yeah, this is uncut with Kim and KDB. So I think that there are different types of people listening, and some are going to
Mhm.
really resonate with that, where they're like, I want to embrace where I'm at and learn to love that. And I think there are some people who resonate really well with visualization and future pacing and things like that. And so I want to offer up also the option to not look at your quote unquote future and compare, but visualize what you want so that you can feel that emotion. Like essentially that's what I do in my incantations every day is
Totally.
I visualize and I describe what I want so emphatically that I genuinely already feel like I have it. So
Well,
the low vibe that I was when I woke up
oh yeah.
becomes a much better vibe to actually sit down and do work. Alignment before
You have to
action,
put
which we've
yourself
talked
in the
about.
energy of that space that you want to feel like in the future that maybe you're not feeling yet. I totally agree. It's more like, I totally agree. I visualize, I do that as well. I get myself in the feeling state. But it was getting to the point where every day, on the moment of every day, I was thinking about being there.
Mm,
And then if you're not, you have to live also in the present
totally.
in order to get yourself there. So it's like you can't, there's the future and there's dreaming, and that's very like you need to do that. You need to get yourself in alignment. You need to get yourself into the feeling state and visualize. But you also have to be in the moment of like now, and like what can I do now? The whole idea was like, what can I do now so that my chances, so it's easier to get to that dream place? Like what pieces do I have with me right now,
Yeah.
and how can I use them in such a way that getting to that dream place is going to be faster, it's going to be easier, and also to let go of the vision and let it come, because
Mm,
Hicks talks about this a lot as well, that stop thinking so hard about it, let go, and let because then you let go of resistance and let it come. Let what's trying to get to you.
Yeah.
And to do that, you focus what's good in the now. What's good right here that I can do that makes me feel good. And that's kind of like what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, like you need both. You need a mix of both. Yeah.
No, I
Rant
totally.
over.
This is the place to rant. This is your soapbox.
I'm just gonna stand on it. Yeah, no, I'm very chatty in the mornings, but yeah, as you can tell, if you did you put out the last episode
Yeah.
with it was the evening? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little bit more quiet then. I think it was my evening, your morning.
I think we're both, yeah, like ramping
We were
up.
both like, yeah.
I hadn't
But
had
yes,
that butter
yeah.
coffee yet.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I feel like that's a great note to end on.
Yes,
What do
let's.
you think?
Butter coffee or
No.
what we just talked
Learning to love and appreciate where you're at and just taking it one
Yeah.
step at a time.
Focus on what's good.
Yeah.
Focus on what you can do now instead of
Yes.
always like know what you want, be clear on it. Like you said, have that alignment, have that clarity before you make any moves. Like make sure you're there first.
Mm-hmm.
Go there first. Like stamp your time card in and then leave and, have that clarity in the back of your mind, have that clarity there, but bring that into now.
Well, I
And
think
and
the whole intention behind the visualization is partly the clarity that you have and understanding like what it is you're even freaking working towards for sure,
yeah.
but really
Yeah.
the emotional aspect. I mean, for me, that's what's
Yes.
been so impactful because I'm still working on the clarity piece. I mean, where I wanted to be now when I started my business 2.5 years ago has evolved. Where I am is different than what I thought. Where I want to go is different than it originally was. And so that's a work in progress. But the emotional like uplift that I experience, which genuinely impacts what I do right now in this moment,
Yeah.
is really, really gratifying.
Yeah. And you've been manifesting like crazy.
I'm on
Yeah.
fire. This girl is on fire. Yeah. So
Did you get your nails? Sorry, this is also side tangent. We're
um
almost done. Did you get them done for your birthday?
I
They're so
did.
beautiful.
Thank you for
They're
noticing.
gorgeous.
It's funny because I don't know how into color therapy you are or just color any of that stuff, but I literally always pick the same red. I've been picking it for 5 years, ever since I discovered it. Same exact one.
Really?
And a girlfriend here gave me for my birthday a little like spell kit, a cutting the cord spell kit. Yeah. I got some
Wow.
magic-y friends here in
You
Austin.
do.
I do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the satchel or I don't know,
Yeah.
little bag that it came in is red. When you had your vision for me, I was in a red dress. Last night, or
Yeah.
when she gave it to me, I was in a red dress. And she's like, and she told me last year the flowers, the peonies she gave me for a different kind of spell were red. And I was like, were you thinking of these because I don't know. I was like, why red? Why red? And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's just you right now. Red is you right
Oh
now.
yeah.
She said
You're
it
so
so
red.
matter of factly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. What does
Yeah.
that mean? So I keep meaning to revisit what red means.
Red is I don't the only thing that comes up to me is the root chakra. Root chakra is red.
So I need to be
Grounding.
grounding myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're maybe trying to ground yourself or you're seeking grounding or maybe you are a very grounded person, but I think it's like you're in pursuit of grounding. You're surrounding yourself with that. And if you're in pursuit, maybe your vibes you're giving off are like very red, vibes.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you did my energy reading, you said that I needed to ground myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
what? In my
What?
reading, I don't care about talking about it on air. You talked about my adrenals. For my birthday, a friend gave me adrenal fatigue supplements because
Good.
he was like, your adrenals are shot every time we're outside. You have to squint too much and it's not even like squint worthy sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's because your adrenals are shot. So
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
adrenal fatigue. If you didn't get enough
We talked
in the
about that
second
last week.
episode, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is the ailment of our generation. We're burnt out, fried out, we're working our asses off, and there's something that, yeah, that needs to be remedied, right? You need to
Yeah.
support on that because, this is happens to be the world we live in at the moment. So
Yeah. Today felt very grounding, very nourishing.
that's good. Yeah, you feel very grounded. You feel
Mm.
extremely grounded. You're like, oh yes, it
It's
must be the nails.
the red nails. Well, Katie, I love these
All right.
episodes. Love
Yes, me
you.
too. Love you, girl. We'll talk to you next week.
Woo woo.